I would like to welcome you all to the one and only John Hannon.
Let's go, go! I hustle, I grind for new revenue highs. If you wanna learn how to win, I'm that guy. I do whatever it takes to bring that ROI. I hustle, I grind for new revenue highs. If you wanna learn how to win, I'm that guy. I do whatever it takes to bring that ROI.
Well, hello, Cordillera friends and industry professionals. John Hannon from Jim Doyle and Associates. Unfortunately, I'm sitting here recording this information, this discussion, in Sarasota, Florida. As you saw by the pictures, well, I've got a broken leg. Don't feel sorry for me. It happens. If it happens to you, I'll feel sorry for you, trust me, because it is nothing to deal with. It was my birthday a couple of Saturdays ago, and I was 51 years old. And invincible, correct? Up on a ladder in my house, 7 feet in the air, I fall backwards, and the rest is history. So as you saw, I look like a sports guy coming in the old days behind the set wearing my shorts. The only difference is I've got a giant leg cast on, and I've got another surgery plan just around the corner in a day or so. So my apologies, I couldn't be there in person. I wanted so badly to look everyone in the eye, thank you profusely, shake hands, catch up, find out how things were going. And can't do it. I promise you, today's presentation will be just as passion-filled, Appalachian creeping out there, as it would be if I were there in person. It's something that's near and dear to my heart because I have been bought and sold in this business multiple times, and I understand exactly what you're going through right now. And my hope is by the end of the discussion in the next hour or so that I'll be able to massage any fears that you have and help you understand what it's going to take for you to excel in leadership in transition. See, that title is something that Steve and I had worked out, leadership in transition. And after we put that together, I started thinking to myself, well, maybe we should call it 0 to 100 right now. See, everything that we've discussed, everything we've trained, everything we've taught, everything you know that makes a solid career foundation to provide growth for you and your family over a number of years, that's going to come into play right now. And it's going to come into play a lot faster than you're accustomed to on a day-to-day operation basis. You know, here's the reality of what's going on, just between us. You're walking the hallways and everyone is asking questions. And then they're asking the question that they can't ask you directly, which I won't tell you what that is yet. I want to put a little curiosity in the bag. We'll cover that in just a few minutes. Then you're getting calls from Cordillera and they're asking you questions. Then you're getting calls from Scripps and they're asking you questions. You're looking in the mirror and you're asking yourself questions. You can't get mired, you can't get boggled down in the what ifs. The reality is today's environment has changed from the early buys and sells years ago, of which I participated in. I can remember being in the early 90s and hearing from a company who had just purchased us at a station I was at who said, there's going to be no change. The only change you're going to notice around here is the fact that the company name has changed on the paycheck. Well, you know what? We woke up, came to the office the next morning, and the general manager was being marched out the front door. A new general manager came in, new sales managers. Those were some pretty big changes. New news director. See, that's not the case anymore. Many of you are sitting there afraid going, gosh, we're being consumed by a larger company. What's going to happen? And that's what everyone around the station is saying, and yet you don't have the answers for them. I promise you, Scripps, Quincy, whomever, they aren't going to pull up with their busload of folks and onload their folks and offload your folks. The companies and business is too big anymore. And as a result, we don't have the pipeline of managers that we once had in this business where we could bring our folks in and clean out marketplaces. That's not the case. So the folks who are going to be running these stations, the folks who are going to be responsible for the revenue, the folks who are going to be responsible for maximizing the share in the marketplace are the folks that I'm speaking with right now. All of us in the room together. So rest easy knowing that many, many companies have the same issues. They do not have enough folks. They don't have the right folks. So this is an incredible opportunity for your career to shine. Just be 2 chapters ahead of everyone else in order to secure that position that you've always wanted within your career inside a larger company. The manager in today's TV business, well, if you look back what it once was, it's not the same, right? We had 20-hour work weeks. We had 7 golf handicaps, 3 network TV stations in a market, 2-hour martini lunches. I've got 7 commercials available, Mr. Advertiser. I have 12 people in line. Do you want it? Do you not want it? Oh, the good old days. Well, I'm here to tell you the good old days have passed us. Good old days have passed us. They are not coming back in that fashion. Does this look familiar? The multiple hats you have to wear walking around your stations, the multiple sidebar channels, the digital stuff, the OTT, the addressable, all the new stuff that you're responsible for, and it all falls to you, and it can be very cumbersome if you don't have a plan. Despite all the responsibilities you have one large responsibility that overshadows everything, and that's called a magnet for revenue. You have to be a magnet for revenue. You fell in the revenue department, everything else falls apart. See, it's my belief that revenue solves all issues. And right now, because you have about a quarter's window, let's say a couple of months, multiple weeks, maybe a quarter before you transition to a new company, right now is the best time to exercise your proficiency in your biggest responsibility, which is garnering revenue. It's not going to come from the national side. Automotive is up and down. Some of you are up, some of you are down based upon the feedback we're getting across the country. It's not going to come from programmatic just yet. And digital and some of the opportunities that you have for your brand, have at it. I don't think we've maximized that yet. In fact, I know we haven't maximized digital as an industry. It excites me to think that TV at one time was the thing that got your foot in the door, but now digital can get your foot in the door. And you have so many opportunities and so many programs that are going to be so valuable, an experience that is so valuable that the new companies you're moving to do not have. So you could very quickly establish yourself as digital experts in this transition to the new company. Total media ad spending across the industry is going up in digital and TV. Notice the two things where it's going up. It makes me question sometimes why companies don't concentrate more of their effort in these two realms, digital and TV. Notice I'm putting them together, an and. That's exactly what we believe in Jim Doyle & Associates. You have to combine your traditional and your digital. In fact, many of you may have noticed in our presentation pieces when we talk about upgrade selling revenue initiatives in our presentations, we don't separate the two in the presentation. We're going through the summary. We have programming, we have digital pieces, we have programming, we have additional digital pieces. See, that stops a client who may not be in the know, a client who knows they need to be in digital, but they're a little concerned about it, they're a little afraid about it. Maybe they've got a tight budget. It stops them from saying, hey, can I just take that digital piece out and just buy the programming? How much would that save me? When you put them together, and we call it the brand as opposed to separating them, that's the best case sales scenario. That's your best sales success. And we're on this many years ago. Tom Ray discovered the word tradigital. Worked in conjunction with one of our speaker friends who came up with the word tradigital, the combination of tradigital and digital. When you are selling TV, you have to sell digital. When you're selling digital, you have to sell TV. And I need you to hold your folks accountable for that measure. We aren't the first to be excited about this opportunity for digital. Years ago, Procter & Gamble said TV and digital, it's not an either or proposition, it's an and proposition. And we fully believe that. Some new things that are very exciting on the horizon. As you're dipping your toe into these opportunities, you certainly will be getting as deep as possible with your new companies in these new areas of sales. Are you down with OTT, over the top sales? How about some addressable advertising and marketing? See, I was a little concerned not too long ago when I bought a new television, new big screen to hang on the wall, and it came preloaded with 84 apps. 84. And as I'm going through these apps and I'm not watching local television, I'm watching different sources of programming. See, programming is king, feeding into our houses. And at the same time, I'm seeing local commercials. And it occurred to me, somebody is selling those commercials locally. Who is it? Is it cable? Is it a local TV station? Who is it? There are going to be opportunities in your marketplace to sell things far and away above just your station or just your side channels or simply your digital. Addressable advertising is so incredible in that you can narrow it down. No longer do you need 150,000 folks in a demo in order to satisfy the buy. Maybe you need 150 who drive a particular car, who make a particular amount of money every year, who live in X zip code, and the client is satisfied by that addressable targeting. Our future is so incredible as it relates to OTT and addressable and digital. You have to adopt it, you have to get excited about it, and you have to be at the forefront of it, because those are where the winners are going to be sitting. I'm not saying in this right now moment transitioning to the other companies that you need to have everything in your back pocket done with these extra areas. No, that's not what I'm saying. This is where the business is headed, and you're going to get that opportunity, so please be open to it. Have you ramped up and do you continue to capitalize on up-and-coming categories? And I'm not talking about something you think is going to get you a couple bucks. I'm talking about where the puck is going, to use Wayne Gretzky's reference. We have researched and studied for a long time different categories for our business, and we are still red hot on healthcare. Healthcare is going to be incredibly large for our business. It's going to exceed automotive at some point. At this point, we like things when we look at the economy, when interest rates rise a bit, you're going to have more bankruptcies because people are going to default on loans. They're going to take out more credit cards. That's going to involve more attorneys. As a result, you're going to have some competitive bank percentages. Maybe you have seen, as of late, CDs are out there promoting 2.5% to 3.5% for 9-month to 18-month to 3-year CDs. So we see advertising in those areas. So you need to, as a leader, as a manager in your organizations, to kind of look at where the puck is going and help guide your folks to those directions so they can capitalize on the revenue. And help them get vertical in those categories. It makes no sense at all for somebody to call on 15 different categories in 1 week because they aren't getting proficient, they aren't getting the knowledge that they need to have in order to be the best that they can be for the client. The biggest complaint we always hear from the client is, your folks don't know anything about my business. Well, as managers, I think we work with account executives to understand everything about the new programming on the new programming launch, everything about all of our digital stuff, everything about the station. And we overlook the opportunities to go in and help a client because we don't understand what the remodeling business is about. We don't understand when housing rates go up, more people remodel, they put on roofs and they add kitchens and big dollar items that they need to advertise. We need to be alert in these new categories, and you are responsible for conditioning your folks to look in that direction, okay? So this is leadership in transition. The biggest thing that I want to encourage you to not overlook as you begin your transition to the new company and you begin to put together your plan and your gap plan for the dollars that you need in order to look impressive in this rollout to the new company is your heart of service. See, we can, as sellers, get anxious to serve our own wants and needs. We can go in and slam dunk individuals, and we can go in and be less than, I don't want to say deceptive, but we may skip over some of the principles and things and the hand-holding that we need to incorporate to differentiate ourselves from our competitors. And that lessens our heart of service. If we don't have a heart of service and we don't want it to work as badly for the client as they want it to work for themselves, then we really need to double check ourselves and figure out where do we need to be with our career base. So maintain that heart of service. Look out for the best interest of the client because they're going to be with you for the eternity, even when you're with the new company after you've signed them up this first quarter over the next couple of weeks or the next couple of months. And caution your AEs to remember such as well. So here's my next question to you. Are you prepared? Very simply, I mean, are you prepared to run through the finish? I know there have been some ups and downs. I know there have been some pushes for different budgets. There's been due diligence. Maybe you're tired. But are you prepared in this transition from Cordillera to your new organization to run through the finish? I would encourage you to do so, but don't make this mistake.
Take my word for it, there's a moral to this story.
Yeah, it looked like a coronation for Tonche Pepio. He's getting the crowd. He wants the crowd to cheer his performance, and at the end he gets pipped. He gets pipped by Marin Simon of Washington. And you just can't do this kind of stuff, Lewis.
You can, and you see his face, and you know no one has to say anything. They don't have to explain it to him. He'll never make that mistake again.
Don't be the guy who assumes that he's going to win the race. He's got it all locked in, and you slow up at the finish, and a competitor passes you by. Run through the tape. And as I show the picture of what it means to run through the tape for business folks, the guy in the very front with the tie hanging down, both hands up and running through the tape first, guess who he is? He's a manager. See, a manager doesn't sit in the stands and cheer on the sideline and go, let's go team. A manager, a true leader, gets engaged, gets involved with the team, and crosses the finish line with the team. And they show that they are more than capable of getting out there and sitting one-on-one with decision makers. They aren't hiding behind doors and working out budget numbers. They're out on the street extolling the virtues of what their brand has to offer to meet and exceed the needs of local clients to help the account executives sell the dollars they need to sell. Keep that in mind. So here's my promise as we continue our discussion. I'm going to teach you the meaning of engaged management because you have to be engaged before you can be a leader. I'm going to show you what the most engaged managers are doing across the country, and then we're going to clue you into what it means to be a leader And lastly, I'm going to help you get your head straight during this time of change. That's the first step in leadership in transition right now. By the way, this information isn't something that came to me overnight. This is information based on our 27, almost 28 years as a company at Jim Doyle & Associates. Every year, we see over 5,000 of our clients, your clients, and we write about $50 million in digital and TV revenue. In fact, our products are in 86% of the TV markets across the country, and we certainly wouldn't have that opportunity if you didn't have confidence in our partnership. And for that, we say thank you, thank you, thank you. It has been an absolute pleasure, and we aren't even close to done with working with all of you. So thank you for that opportunity. All right, so engaged management. What is it? Well, let me tell you what it's not. Many of you have an open door policy. And as pressures pick up in your open door policy, you have many varieties of an open door policy. And here's how an account executive has to read your door. They see the closed door, which means do not disturb, even though the manager said I have an open door policy. The half open door is a proceed with caution. Should I go in? Should I not go in? Is she in there? I can't tell. How about the wide open door? But yet the manager is standing up, you're standing up, you're bent over, you're in the drawers, and clearly conveying to everyone, hey, I'm in the middle of something, my door may be open. I just got to gather a few things for our next meeting, don't come in. And then the ultimate worst is the slightly ajar. This is the proceed with caution door. See, this is what your account executives see, but at the same time, you tell them I have an open door policy, so come on in anytime you want. When's your door open? 2 o'clock on Saturdays? See, when pressures pick up, when meetings pick up, when due diligence picks up, when water cooler talk picks up, when all this gossip and innuendo picks up about a possible sale, the door gets shut more often, when in reality that's when the door needs to be open more so your folks can have face-to-face conversation with you to find out what the heck is going on. That's not engaged management. This is what happens if you think that's engaged management. It always rolls downhill, does it not? See how it goes from level to level to level. Well, I did a little study here, and I've been walking around for the last year extolling the virtues of what I found in this study from the Gallup folks. Yes, the Gallup poll study. It's the state of the American manager. And this is over 4 decades of research on managers. 2.5 million managers in 195 countries were monitored, and they measured the engagement of 27 million employees. And here's what they found. Only 35% of managers were engaged. 35%. See, managers walk in going to the salt mines. If only 35% of managers are engaged, how can they expect to get the employees engaged and get the employees excited about the opportunities in their work environment? Many managers look at it like this. Hey, I understand employee needs. It's a quote from Dumb and Dumber. I'll let you read it real quickly. That is not engagement. That is not understanding employee needs. And I will say to you that many times, and you've heard it before, employees do not quit the company. They quit the manager. They leave. So why am I saying this to you? Well, I'm saying this to you because it's more important now than it is forever, quite honestly, that you have engagement with your folks, that you have wide open conversations with your account executives, and you help them understand what the process means and how they're going to best be able to hold on to their position and even grow their position in this transition. 68% of people leave their jobs due to their bosses. It's that simple. The sad thing is, probably that percentage and more leave their jobs due to their bosses before they even resign. You met those folks? Those folks have been working at the TV station for 2 years now and they haven't done anything because they quit 2 years ago. It's going to be real hard to jumpstart those folks and get them excited about any kind of leadership and transition motivation that you want to inject into the team and into the culture as you transition to a new company. It's gut check time. It's looking in the mirror and asking yourself, am I prepared? Am I ready? Am I engaged? And if you're disengaged, we don't have enough time to talk about what we need to do today, but that's something that we should probably talk about. Give me a confidential call. We can walk through it and help you understand what you need to do to get back engaged and get excited about your career. Here's a bigger concern that I found from the Gallup poll. 70% of your employees are disengaged. So we have 35% of managers disengaged. We have 70% of employees that are disengaged. That is a recipe for disaster. And whose responsibility is it to correct it? That's right, us. The employees are looking to the managers, to the leaders, to help create environments that are conducive to success, conducive to a fun work environment, conducive to a profitable work environment. That's on the manager to create those opportunities. Because if you have the damage of disengaged, if you will, you have folks who have no regard for the organization or the performance. They laugh when you try to get them excited about positive momentum, which seems to never surface. The cancer continues to grow. Word gets out on the street, you can't hire any additional folks because the morale is dead. See, there's a link between engagement and non-engagement. It directly affects performance. If you're engaged, it's positive performance. If you're disengaged, it's negative performance. It's that simple. Folks lead managers, not companies. In the Gallup poll, when folks were asked, can you talk with your manager about non-work related issues? Barely a quarter agreed to that. Nearly 75% disagreed with that statement. I feel I can talk with my manager about non-work related issues. So 3/4 of the employees feel that they don't have a relationship with their manager. And what is engagement about? What is leadership through engagement? It's simply trust. And the folks don't trust you. Furthermore, on the next question, it was, I feel I can approach my manager with any type of question. 63%, over 60% strongly disagreed with that statement. Again, managers lack trust with their employees, and when you lack trust with your employees, how do you get them to stretch themselves in times of need, like the need that you have right now? Well, the first step is going to be management by walking around, MBWA. This series of informal visits. You know, I'm so driven, sometimes so focus-based, that I used to have to put on my calendar, it's time to get up and walk around. I had to set that as an alarm because I get so focused in the things that I was doing. It's not that I didn't like anybody, it's just that I'm crossing off my task list, right? So if you want to MBWA, you want to master that opportunity, and you really want to have direct impact right now, especially if it's counter to your personality, it's going to get noted around the station. You need to get up, you walk around, have informal visits, you need to talk, but more important than anything, you need to listen. Active listening, active smiles, register of eye color, get in their face professionally and friendly. It's business and it's personal. This is where you're building trust. This is the positive impact on productivity that you're going to pick up on. And quite honestly, you're going to enjoy your work environment a little more because you're learning about the individuals of whom you work with and work for and that work for you. And they're going to like the fact that you want to know about the kids. They're going to like the fact that you want to know about the vacations. End every conversation in management by walking around with one question. What can I do for you? What can I do for you? You will flabbergast them. And they will walk away and they'll tell 15 people, you know what she asked me? She wanted to know what she can do for me. And rarely do they ever tell you you can do something for them. They're just thankful that you asked the question, that you thought enough to think about them. Management by walking around. You know, the most engaged managers around the country, they know their numbers. I don't want to spend a lot of time here because we've covered this multiple times before. If you've forgotten on how to apply these numbers, please feel free to reach out, john@jimdoyle.com, or you can give me a call here in Sarasota office confidentially, or we can have a remedial class for everyone if we feel that most of the folks need all these numbers. But the very first number you need to know is your churn number, your churn in progress number, your CHIP. I would say to you in first quarter here, the all-important first quarter, as you're prepping up and ramping up for your transition to your new company, how much you're going to churn versus what you had last year. So in other words, if you're going to lose $400,000 this quarter, ask the team, how much do you have to write in order to make up the $400,000 you're going to lose? If they say $400,000, you've got a problem because we don't live in a flat world, right? Everybody should be thinking, if you're going to lose $400,000, your churn is $400,000, you should be thinking $600,000 to $800,000 or more. That's where our mindset has to be. Let's think 800, we'll settle at 6. That still gets us up over last year. You also need to know what % of diagnosis calls lead to presentations on new business. New business is key in 2019. I promise you this, if you're missing budget, and everybody's the same, all stations are missing budget, and let's say Scripps comes in and they're going to pass some judgments here. Each station has missed budget. But yet at the same time, you've blown the doors off in new business and local direct decision maker money. It's the transactional stuff you've lost on. You're going to be good. You're going to be just fine. They're going to love you, and you're going to be the example. What's the team's closing percentage when they go out and close business? Do the individuals even know what their closing percentage is? We need to find out. What's the minimum monthly investment in digital and TV that a new advertiser would need to invest to be successful on your stations? What is that number? If it's $5,000, $6,000 a month, why are your AEs taking orders at $3,000? There's a disconnect there, right? What's the average monthly order or average monthly new business order? See, again, that $2,000 to $3,000, when it has to be $5,000 to $6,000, we got a problem. So just a quick example here, and again, you guys know how to do the math backwards. If we had 100 new presentations in first quarter, and your close was about 22%, and you're closing $4,000 on average, that's going to get you around $88,000. But if you did nothing more than amplify that closing percentage by 4 points, let's go from 22 to 26%, and you're pushing just a little harder, asking for a little more money, let's say a $6,000 average, still the same 100 calls, your dollar figure nearly doubles to $162,000. You see my point? Just a little more aggressive, a little smarter with our presentation style, a little smarter with our line of questioning and our closing, and asking for more money, the dollars that we deserve. Big dollars, big results, little dollars, little results. But by doing so, you double up on the money without making any additional calls. So you need no more hours in the day. By the way, in our company, and this came from Jim Stews many years ago before joining our company as a senior marketing consultant, we don't celebrate Sallies. And I would suggest you do the same. See, your account executives are walking up and down the sales pit, they're high-fiving each other. Woo! I got $50,000, same money I got last year, $50,000. Well, I would say to that AE, 5 years from now, would you be excited about making the same money you're making today? They're going to tell you no. The answer is no, always, right? With us and with the AEs. So the reality is the money has to go up. Why are we talking $50,000? We should be talking $70,000, $80,000, $90,000. But yet we go in and we ask for $50,000. We throw in an additional weather sponsor, so now we're upside down. After 3 or 4 years of this, we're giving away $70,000 worth of business to save the $50,000. So please, break that habit right now. And that'll save you some dollars in first quarter. We do not celebrate Sallies, same as last year. The first step your account executives need to make, and you need to make sure they're zeroed in on this because it's what we teach. What is your TV budget now becomes what is your total marketing budget. I could care less what the TV budget is when I have conversations with clients. And I think that's why I've been successful, because I've been stupid as to what their number was. Here's what I mean by that. Let's go back to that $50,000. That $50,000 your TV rep just got for the station is a 50% share of the TV budget. 50% share of the TV budget. Sounds impressive, right? But when we go in and we have a conversation with the client, we find out that $50,000 is 10% of a $500,000 budget. So the total budget being $500,000. See, 10% is a lot less than 50%. And quite honestly, if we know going in that we're competing for $500,000, that's a $400,000 discussion, not a $50,000, $60,000 on a $100,000 TV budget discussion. So you must insist that the question is, what is your total marketing budget? And your reps have to ask for copious amounts of money. That's it. Challenge them. If they're thinking $8,000, go in at $24,000, 3 times what their original ask was going to be. They may be shocked to find out what they can get. And the client will never be offended so long as you say, Mr. and Mrs. Client, this is where I was going to build you to. This is what it's really going to take to be incredibly successful. I wanted you to see what that $24,000 looked like with our brand. The most engaged managers and leaders across the country, they keep a spotlight on closing. Because right now when it comes to closing with account executives, there seems to be no temperature check, no follow-up on an agreement, and no close. They spend all this time working on a presentation, but yet they go in and they say, they hear from the client, well, call me in 2 weeks. Okay, and then they walk away. That is unbelievable from where I sit. As managers and leaders, you have to spotlight closing. You have to help them understand what it takes to close. And it's not slam dunking anyone, it's just saying respectfully, look, you said this, I'm feeling this, where are we here? You got to teach them to close something on every buy. I don't care if it's the creative, the digital or programming, the OTT information. I don't care if it's the next appointment, but whatever it is, they have to close something and right now. because money is at a premium right now. Money is at the biggest opportunity for you right now to prove yourself as you transition to the new companies. The most engaged managers across the country are students of culture. They create cultures that are stimulating, provide a lot of opportunity. There's a vision. There's buy-in to the vision. They have cheerleaders inside the station. There's accountability. Don't kid yourself. Folks want to be held accountable, but they want it to be professional. There's a commitment to teaching and training and a formal process for things like Cordillera On Demand, because they understand that folks have to be fortified and fed that information. By the way, last year we promised 26 insertions to our on-demand product. We gave you 77. There are countless hours and chapters within that program that your folks need to be watching on a weekly basis, 2 to 3 chapters a week. If they've already seen something, they need to go back again. Don't believe me? Walk into the sales meeting and ask someone to describe how to defend the wobble. Ask someone at the table to describe return on investment steps. Those are things they've already studied. I double-checked it in the Cordillera stuff. Your folks have seen that already. But if they can't describe it, they can't talk about it, it's time for a retrain. Lastly, the most engaged managers are students of culture. They believe in celebration and fun. 70% of the folks on your team are socializers. Right now, when you're pushing them hard for those dollars and they come back, please celebrate with them. Thank them for the $18,000 order. Don't say to them, as I heard from a sales manager in November, and it just absolutely crushed me for this young lady that they were looking at and putting pressure on when she came back and said, I closed $18,000. And they said, how much digital is in that? And did that get you to budget? You can't do that. The best, most engaged managers across the country are constantly reevaluating the team. I'd ask you for just a split second in the room with me to please close your eyes for just a second and put your wallets in front of you. Steve, if you would gather those wallets. No, teasing. Listen. Close your eyes and think about the best sales team ever. Think about the best sales team when it comes to prospecting, new business, negotiating, big increases. Now open your eyes. Is it your team? And if it's not your team, why not? Why not? And how do you get them there? So let's take a detour for just a second. I want to give you just a quick voice of experience here because I know it's going to happen to you. You better have answers because you will get questions. As I alluded to earlier in our discussion, the questions most prominently are going to come from Cordillera, from Scripps, and from your employees. And to simply walk around and not have answers is going to be a very difficult position for you. Furthermore, it's going to be very confusing for the teams. You need to have answers to the questions. Let me address the elephant on the table here. There's one question that trumps all when it comes to your team. Very simply, they want to know, what does this mean to me? But I can assure you, from having been a manager in these transitions, that question they don't ask. Every question they're asking is just a chip off trying to get to this main question of what does this mean to me? I'm a seller, I'm an account executive here, I made X dollars last year, you're selling to Scripps, what does their commission plan look like? How many local direct dollars are their folks writing on average? They would skip all of that if they could just get to the question is, what does this mean to me? And you have an answer for them. Right now, they don't care that you're gone because they're standing by the water cooler, they're gossiping about the upcoming changes, and they're asking each other, what does this mean to us? So if there's any answer that you need to work on, it's that. And I've already explained that. It's the same answer that I would give you. Back in the day, there were replacements. Today, there are not those replacements. In fact, today it's an even better opportunity because if you're doing the best at what you do, your best work at what you do, in this transition, you're going to get recognized and you're going to have the opportunity to move forward to bigger, better things than you've had at any point in your career. If the companies are coming to you, Scripps is coming to you, Scripps, they have every right to make you uncomfortable because they have just purchased your company. They just purchased your station. So they're picking, they're prodding, they're kicking the tires, and they're doing that out of curiosity. They aren't doing it to try to trip you up. They're doing that because they want to try to understand what they have purchased. And in many instances, what they have purchased is better than what they own. So hang with me and I'll circle back to that in just a second. But I would caution you again on this, just as your sellers and your station folks, if you don't have an answer for what this means to them, it's uncomfortable. It's going to get even more uncomfortable when Scripps is asking questions or Cordillera is asking questions of you or Quincy and you don't have answers for them. So have answers, have a plan. You've heard Jim say before, if you don't have a plan, one will be assigned to you. I guarantee you that's going to be the case. And in some instances, you may even have a plan, but another is assigned to you. But at least you were respectful and you were professional and that you were ready to go. And that'll be recognized. So never doubt that the actions of a few or even one can impact the many. And that's why it's so important right now for you to understand, even though you are being acquired by a larger entity, you have the ability through your performance, through your track record, through your suggestions, through your planning, you have the ability to impact the many. Here's a laugh for you to help you understand that. So did you guys see in the beginning there, you had Steve Chase and David Bonfiglio dancing, and then John Saunders joined in, and then everybody else joined in. All the Scripps people, all the Quincy people. See, everybody. No. Here's my point to you. You can have impact. Let me bring this a little closer to home. A couple of years ago, I was requested to fly into New Orleans to a C-suite and a GM meeting. This was a large company who had purchased some other stations a couple of years previous. And as it turned out, the stations they purchased were outperforming what they called the legacy stations. The legacy stations being the stations that they previously owned before the purchase. They couldn't understand why the legacy stations were getting beaten by the newer stations in everything that they were doing. And as it turned out, the newer stations were doing a better job than the legacy stations because they had a plan, they had systems in place, and they had training and teaching, and everything was just moving in the right direction. And so they were able to affect the culture of that large company simply by everybody recognizing and admitting that, oh my goodness, the smaller group that we bought and folded into our company knows a little more than we do about the business in terms of how to get it done. We had better pay attention to some of those folks. So I've seen it in real life. You have the opportunity to walk into these new environments doing the best of what you know and helping correct a lot of old habits or a lot of old ways or show them what they don't know. They don't know what they don't know as a result of your experience inside of Cordillera. And I am confident many of you will be able to accomplish that because I've seen it time and time again with groups that have transitioned. The best, most engaged managers across the country are visible. What do I mean by that? See, they're outside visible. I'll share with you, I won't do it to upset the station, but I was at one of your stations and it took about 15 minutes for the general manager to get seated once we got inside the restaurant. I couldn't figure out what was going on. Then it occurred to me, this guy could be mayor of the town. He could be governor of the state. He knew everyone in the restaurant because he is that visible when it comes to community. You need to be that visible inside the station. When was the last time you walked and said hello to the night shift master control operator? If you saw him at a Christmas party, would you know who they are? I'm not saying that's going to get you any more money inside the station right now, but this is the kind of thinking that you need to employ as you continue to move in positive momentum and positive direction for your career. See, you wouldn't tolerate an account executive overlooking your best client. So my question to you is, would you tolerate a manager overlooking your best seller or your best worker? No, I don't think that you would. So you have to be as visible outside as you are inside, and I promise you balance the two, and you'll help generate that positive momentum that brings in the revenue that you're out there looking for. Number 7, the most engaged managers across the country encourage outrageous reach goals. What do I mean by that? These goals are goals that the team has never heard of before. We're pushing. See, we're going out there, we're spending capital dollars, we're out there investing money that we've never invested before to get bigger and better, and as a result, we're a bigger and better entity for our clients. So in turn, we have to have larger goals and larger budgets. But I would say those folks who have larger goals and larger budgets, they have an equally outrageous detailed plan when they present it to the team. And I call that personally, whoa 2 times. So when the number is first delivered to the team, it's whoa. And then when they deliver the plan in order to get to the number, it is whoa. Whoa 2 times. Those are what the best managers do across the country. And lastly, they disregard the borders. See, because borders don't matter. What do I mean by that? I can go to any station USA and I can see on the wall the DMA map, the Nielsen DMA map, and they've got their DMA circled in red or in black or in something that designates this is our wall, right? Well, you got to be open to change. In Roanoke, Virginia, WDBJ, it's actually a gray station. You remember the station where the reporter and the the cameraman were shot live on air a couple of years ago. I mean, a terrible story. The station has since recovered and recovered in morale, and they have an incredible culture there. But I'd ask you this, can you figure out very quickly with my puzzle, what do the station and Pepsi and Gold all have in common? Well, here's what they have in common. They were thinking outside the borders. They went in and met with a local Pepsi distributor. The Pepsi distributor was having great difficulty in trying to locate drivers for their trucks and warehouse workers to move all of their product around. The station came back with a plan which included geofencing, geo-targeting, and a lot of digital in order to embrace and go after those folks who were certified drivers and who needed warehouse jobs. A lot of competitor areas they were going to. They filled up the resume bin and they couldn't fit any more in there. Well, the station, thinking smartly, went back to the distributor and said, hey, we've done good by you. Can you help us out? Can you get us into Dallas at the corporate level and let us talk to the Pepsi distributor on a national basis? The local distributor agreed to do so, and this is now the border for the Virginia TV station, the whole United States. They handle 38 markets of job recruiting for Pepsi drivers and Pepsi warehouses out of WDBJ in Virginia. That's the kind of thinking you need to employ. That's the kind of thinking we need right now in the next couple of weeks. That's the kind of thinking we need quarters from now. That's the kind of thinking we need years from now. The best, most engaged managers across the country invest in themselves. As Warren Buffett said it, that's the most important investment you can make. How good are your selling skills? I run into so many folks who don't want to sit down and they don't want to train in Cordillera On Demand, or they don't want to sit in on some of our teaching because they've been a general manager for a while and they've seen this before. Really? Really? How can you teach what you don't know? I have to impress upon you that styles, approaches, presentations change. Furthermore, when you're investing in yourself and you're investing in a classroom in front of other folks in your building, you're sending a message that this is important. When's the last time you checked into Cordillera On Demand? I was in Las Vegas a couple of years ago at NAB, and I had a gentleman walk up to me and he said, hey, you're John Hannon. And I said, yes, I am. And sometimes we get that because of our videos or because of books we've written. And I said, I apologize. Do I know you? And he said, I don't know that you do, but I've seen all your videos and I bought all of your books and I really appreciate the information you shared. And I said, oh, where are you a sales manager? And he stopped me and he said, I'm not a sales manager, John. I said, I apologize. You're in the biz, right? I mean, what do you do in the business? He said, I'm a news director. I said, excuse me. You just said to me that you've watched all of my sales videos, that you've read all of my books, and you really appreciate our stuff, but you're a news director. Connect the dots for me. Fill that in for me. And he said, look, I have a dream. I want to be a general manager one day of a TV station. I recognize my deficiency is sales. I in no way, shape, or form am not going to be prepared when that opportunity presents itself. So even though I'm a news director, I'm spending my own money to teach myself how to sell in this business. He invests in himself, and he's going to be an incredible manager. Number 9, the most engaged managers across the country conduct formal one-on-ones. Let's assume that you're doing formal one-on-ones before we move on with this conversation, but we need to blow up what you're doing. We got to change the process. See, probably now you're talking about what kind of pending do you have? Are you going to make budget? What are your tent poles? What's your dollars for Olympics? What about Super Bowl? All those other things. When in reality, you need to have sit-downs. You certainly need to talk about the numbers. You got to talk about the churn. Where's digital? Where's the new business scorecard? You need to talk about key accounts, that 20% that's really bringing it home for you. And then lastly, you need to talk about, or next to last I should say, you need to talk about who do I need to get close to? As a manager, who do I need to connect with to get close to make sure that we stay in good stead on those dollars? And lastly, ask the individual during the meeting, what are your goals? Give me some business, give me some personal, give me some trust. I want to hold you accountable for those. The most engaged managers deal with underperformers. I always like to say when expectation turns to hope, it's time to make a change. Look, everyone around you recognizes when someone's not pulling their weight, and it's your responsibility as a manager to get rid of them. Maybe it's not something you can do in transition to a new company, but when you have a sit down with the new company and they're asking about the flavor of the team, you'd better take the time to say, I got an issue over here. Because salespeople are hired to do what? To sell. And if they aren't selling, they're the weak link in the chain. And you've got to fix the problem. You've got to fix the weak link, or the whole system's going to fall apart on you. So as you're making that consideration right now, as you're transitioning to a new company, think to yourself, has my communication been crystal clear? Is this person coachable? Is this someone that I want on the short term as a foundation player? Are they a cornerstone player? Or are they not going to make it at all in the system I'm trying to create? Are there any hidden influences? Did they have a death in the family? Maybe a divorce, something that would have impacted them personally that they've not shared with you? Do I want it more than they want it? Is it time for me to move on because I want it more than they want it for themselves? And then ultimately, spreadsheets do not lie. So as a result, you need to lock in and understand, is this truly an individual we need to hold on to? Is this someone that we can help that can help us later? Or do we need to part ways? Have that in your mindset. If you can take care of it now, take care of it now. If you can't, make sure that's front and center and you're as honest as you can be when it comes to the new individuals, because you're going to want to build your team as quickly as you can. This isn't the way to deal with it. You can't stick your head in the sand. The way to deal with it is to get active with it and have a fixed or gone by date. And you got to stick with it. Don't make this mistake. Don't say, okay, Bobby, I gave you 3 things that you had to do by X date. It's now X date. You've done 2 of those 3 things, so I'm going to give you a little more time. You both know where it's going to end. The deal was you got to do the 3 things by this date. It didn't happen. You're gone. Don't let your social skills get in the way. This is a business decision, and you are freeing them for a better opportunity elsewhere. Furthermore, you get your credibility back with the staff. You have to deal with underperformers. The most engaged managers understand that knowledge is power. No, knowledge isn't power. The execution of the knowledge is power. So you can sit there and talk in first quarter with all your team about all the things that you're going to do, but unless they're getting up out of their chair, walking outside to their office on 4 wheels, and going out and seeing the client face to face, toe to toe, and asking for the well-deserved dollars, there's no power. You have to do that. Now more than ever is the timing. Now is the time to do it. The most engaged managers understand that the fast beat the slow. You know, Rupert Murdoch said it best, the world is changing very fast. Big will not beat small anymore. It's the fast beating the slow. I've seen so many organizations, large organizations in markets that are failing, but yet they have every tool in the toolbox. See, they sit there and they've got every tool and they think, well, I'll call the client next Wednesday. Whereas smaller stations who may not have every tool in the toolbox and have every reason not to call the client because they're small and they can't service them or they can't get them or they can't get the appointment, whatever, they don't care. They're calling the client right now. They're calling for the decision maker right now. And they're getting in on a Tuesday and they're closing them on a Friday. And by the time the big station with all the tools gets there, they say, I've already made a commitment to X station. How could you do that? We're the big dogs in town. The fast beat the slow. And recognizing the fast beat the slow, your job, the most engaged managers understand this if they want to be leaders in this transition, your job is to remove all the obstacles that you can. You have to free up time for your sellers for more pressing opportunities. It's imperative they have time on the street, that you have coaching days with your AEs, that you're in front of clients with your AEs, removing all these obstacles so that you're closing the most business that you can close in the shortest amount of time. Might I suggest specialists? You know, you can't do everything. Why don't you have someone update the team at a sales meeting on healthcare, someone on automotive, someone on sports, someone on news inventory, whatever the case is, and then you can go to them on the fly and say, what is the situation right now? Where do we stand with sports? It also gives you a chance to test these individuals as you're building a bench to figure out if they're going to have a future in your new growth opportunities inside a larger company. The engaged managers allow participation in leadership. They create team building, teaching, and training meetings. They have sales meetings. They give up control to maintain control. On the back end of what I was saying just a second ago, if you're a sales manager or a manager or a general manager, whatever your case is, stop hosting every single meeting. Have a list of individuals who are going to host throughout the course of the year. Give them some bowling alley bumpers, if you will, so they know what the guidelines are and how far they can go either way. And give them some tasks that have to be completed in every single meeting, but allow them to take control of it. It'll test their leadership opportunity. It allows you time to concentrate on other priorities that you need to concentrate on. And then lastly, they're going to be incredible meetings because they do not want to fail in front of their peers. The best managers across the country have an enthusiasm for the power of their products and their brand, their programming, and their processes. They walk into sales meetings and they say, this is the best thing since sliced bread. Because if you don't believe in it, the sales folks don't believe in it, how is it going to get moved? So if you're looking at things that are going to move in first quarter, you can't go to those things that people are sketchy about, that they have a little less enthusiasm about. If you're looking to move things very quickly, you got to move those things that your folks have a lot of confidence in. Because the things they don't have confidence in aren't going to get moved off the shelf, and you're going to have less than desirable sales results. The best managers honor the stars. It's personal and public recognition. Again, 70% of our team are socializers. They like to be noticed. They like to be shined upon with the spotlight when they do something correct. And it also brings up other folks who want to try to perform at that level as well. You need to be in touch with the top 20% of your client base. So if you take a look at your total client base, your key clients, the top 20%, who are the folks you need to get in touch with and build a relationship with? These are the folks that you're going to be able to help your AEs go back and upgrade their dollars. I'm not talking about new business. I'm talking about thank you so much for the $100,000 last year, Mr. Auto Dealer. I understand you have $900,000 in the market. How can we help you with $300,000? See, who are these folks? Who do you need to get close to for a general to general? And who has the potential of being one of these folks? Those are the questions that you need to answer when asked by Scripps or when asked by Cordillera, because those are the folks you need to get close to because you are the highest level seller in your station. And by the way, after you have that meeting with those folks, a thank you should be the very first conversation and the very first thing that you send them after that meeting. Because too many times when there is an issue, God forbid, let's hope there's not an issue in first quarter, but if there is, too many times when the client reaches out to you, the first conversation is an issue. And that's a problem. If you have had a thank you before the issue, they're going to think back to that last conversation and go, I rarely talk to any station managers and station general sales managers, but this one, last conversation we had was a thank you, so I'm going to be a little less empowered here. I'm going to be a little less, what's the word I'm trying to look for? I'm not going to be so upset with this person because we have history, and the history was a thank you. Generals talk to generals, and as such, you need to be out there knocking on doors to the generals to push the dollars. See, if you want something to happen, again, you have to be running through the tape. You have to show through your leadership and through your example that you're out there working and you're banging on doors also. Don't overlook the PhDs. The papas had a dealership. Those are the folks that aren't talking to your account executives because through their inheritance of the dealership over a number of generations, they have a business card about this long. And they only speak to those folks with a giant title. So I bet you they'll take your call. They may not take your account executive's call. So in the home stretch here, I have a question for you. Are you worthy of the title? As you can see by the picture, hello, I am manager. See, you were awarded the manager title. Maybe you were a good account executive, maybe you're good in production promotions, whatever it was, you moved up the food chain where you have some kind of higher level responsibility when it comes to the sales organization inside your building. And you are a manager. A manager is a title that is given to you. Are you worthy of the title? A leader title is one that is awarded to you. A leader title cannot be given to you. A leader title is through your hard work, your blood, sweat, and tears, your premium example, and you stepping to the forefront and saying, I've got the danger, follow me, follow my example, and I'm going to help get us there. And by that credibility alone, your team says, this one is our leader. Which do you prefer? Well, absolutely the leader. But my question to you is, are you worthy of the title? Have you been awarded the title leader? The title leader is awarded by followers. The title manager is awarded by your bosses. And in this situation, we're talking about leadership in transition. You need to be a leader, not a manager. But are your actions worthy? Can you honestly say that you're engaged with every single individual, and so that your leadership is a premium in this transition because you're engaged with every individual? Can you be honest with yourself? I'm going to ask you to close your eyes just one more time in this discussion. I'd like you to close your eyes, and I want you to think about each of these questions. Tell me the color of the eyes of your business manager. Tell me the color of the eyes of your chief engineer. How about the color of the eyes of your next sales manager? How about the color of the eyes of your highest billing account executive? Do you know the color of their eyes? Okay, open. Did you get the color right on any of those folks? Here's why I say that to you. In order to be engaged with an individual, you have to have a heart connection. In order to have a heart connection, I feel it's eyes to the heart, eyes to the soul. I'm not saying laser somebody, but I'm saying dig in, get on their level, get eyeball to eyeball, and let them know I'm here for you, I care, I got your back. Come with me. Commit yourself to me, I'll commit myself to you. We have a trust, and through this process, through this transition, and our trust in each other and team, we will be successful. But you have to take that step. You have to be the individual who processes that engagement, who sets that example. Is your current mode of leadership, is in your operation, is culture and morale, is it high? Do you have professional accountability? Is there a plan to achieve the vision? What are the performances like? What are the outcomes? Are you outcome based in your performances? Is there a consistent level of enthusiasm? Do you have people knocking on the door because they want to come work for you? Are you engaged? All of these things have to be present in order for you to be a leader in transition. Are the employees proud to be in your employ? Are the clients and communities saying, this individual, this station, this culture, it's different. And as a result, I want to do business with them. I want to partner with them. Is that the kind of response you're getting in the marketplace? That would indicate that you're a leader and not a manager. So if so, how do you build on that momentum as a leader? I can't answer those questions for you because every market and every individual and every situation is different. But I'd like to think I've given you some foundation, some basis for understanding what it's going to take to be a leader in this transition, how to build on that positive momentum that you already have. And if not, time's running out. What's it going to take to get there? What's it going to take to get you to be a leader? And what is your timeline? It better be days and weeks, not months and years, because you don't have that much time before you transition to a new company. It had better be, what's it going to take to get there right now? You're about to get a lot of new friends and a lot of new Christmas cards coming your way. As Cordillera joins Scripps and Cordillera joins Quincy, you're going to have a lot of folks that you've yet to meet, and you're going to have a lot of opportunities you've not had before in the course of your career. Many times when I see this, you can tell right away who the winners are because they've got the game face on. And that's what the folks who are following you are looking for. They're looking for the confidence in somebody with a game face that they can follow, they can get behind this leader and have confidence that things are going to be okay, that they're going to be safe. Speaking of game faces, I was crushed just a couple of weeks ago at the retirement of Urban Meyer, the Ohio State football coach. And those of you who know me know that I'm a diehard Ohio State fan. Let's go back to Woody Hayes when I was barely out of diapers and watching this man run through championships with the Ohio State Buckeyes. Haters are going to hate. Many of you in the room right now are going, the Ohio State Buckeyes. I get it. But facts don't lie. Just like Excel spreadsheets don't lie when it comes to sales. And here's the reality. Urban Meyer, 17 seasons as a head coach, was at 4 different colleges. He compiled a .854 winning percentage. That's .854, almost 90% of all the games they played, he won. and he captured 3 national championship titles. That is an incredible run. And that is something these guys will be proud of forever, an eternity of their life for having played for Urban Meyer. And when asked about that, when asked about his coaching legacy upon his retirement after the Rose Bowl when they beat Washington State a couple weeks ago, 28-25, Urban thought about his players and he offered this statement. He said to each individual, when we needed you most, you gave us your very best. When we needed you the most, you gave us your very best. Like Urban Meyer or not, Ohio State fan or not, that is a powerful statement, and I think nothing applies more than that statement in your situation. In the next 3 months, when Cordillera needs you the most, are you going to give your very best? In the next 3 months, when your employees need you the most, are you going to give your very best? I turn it around and say back to the account executives, the sales folks, the people walking the hallways of your stations, in the next 3 months when we need you the most, are you going to give us your best? Because that's what I intend to give you, Mr. and Mrs. Employee. That's truly what leadership in transition is all about. You delivering your absolute best when needed most and empowering those around you, working with you, for you, above you, yes, managing up, to deliver their absolute best when you need them the most. It's that simple. So, you know, every year we say Happy New Year. And 2019 was no different. I see Happy New Year every place that I turned as the ball was ready to drop at midnight in New York City. And for many, it will be a Happy New Year. But for some, it won't be a Happy New Year. Many prognosticators and folks talking about our industry have stated that 2019 is going to be one of the toughest years in our industry. And I don't short them with that information because I think we've got a lot against us, but we've also got a lot of positive momentum on our side. See, 2019 will be full of challenges, but you can't spell challenge without change. So to that end, as I close, I would encourage you to be open to the change that it's going to take for you to transition in premium leadership, for you to transition like leaders that I know that you are, for you to transition like leaders coming out of Cordillera and immediately moving to the top of the priority list as leaders in your respective new companies. It's the change that's going to be career making. It's the change that you need to incorporate that's going to make everyone around you feel extremely comfortable about the upcoming challenges and the new ownership in the year ahead. So, as always, should you have questions, should you want to discuss, give me a ring. I'm here at the corporate headquarters in Sarasota, Florida with a broken leg. I'm not going anywhere for a long time. Probably better to catch me by cell phone. You can ring in the office, find out what my hours are going to be, or you can email me at john@jimdoyle.com, and I'd be happy to have one-on-one conversations with you. And if we don't get to speak and I don't get to see you before long, please, sincerely, from everyone here at Jim Doyle & Associates, thank you for your partnership, for your belief in what we do, and for your continued faith in our products, services, and more importantly than anything, for your friendship. You have certainly helped to make this business and this job opportunity more enjoyable than I ever thought possible, selfishly, for me. So thank you to that end, and thank you for allowing me to have just a quick discussion with all of you in the room today. Best wishes for 2019.